Of February 2005. And what happened in February 2005 was, of course, Google Maps dropped. And the second thing that happened is Jesse James Garrett wrote an article and named a technology we already all used as Ajax. And that was really where Web 2.0 was born, and that's all really fantastic, and Google played a role in that. And so tonight for my talk, I want to focus on, and I want to pick on Google a little bit, because in the last 18 to 24 months, there have been some developments at Google that would lead you to believe they're not actually adhering to their unofficial corporate motto. Which brings us to the title of my talk, which is, sorry, was that your business model we just ran over? So let's start with Google Maps. It's kind of old hat now, if you will. It's 5 years old, which is ancient in the IT realm. But in late 2008, something very important happened, and that is they crossed the streams, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, and Google passed MapQuest in monthly unique visitors, which is kind of a big deal, and that's very impressive. And shortly after that, another thing happened, and Atlas announced that Google's not going to use their data anymore, because Google is going to use its own data. They have their own streets for the United States. At the same time, nearly the same time, there's something else going on behind the curtain at Google. And you probably can't see it really well on the projected image here, but if we tweak that in Photoshop just a little bit, you'll see Google has parcels for the entire United States. And that's kind of a big deal, because if you are a data provider or an aggregator, suddenly your business model is in jeopardy. Now, shortly after that all went down, Google launched another little gem called the Google Maps Data API, which essentially lets you take your data, you shove it up into Google's cloud, and it allows you to dynamically attach your data to locations by address, by point, by KML geometry if you have it. And gosh, as a geo developer, I think that's really neat. However, Palatial, which is now out of business, and Connector Local starts springing up. And so, if you are in the business of shipping up simple geo cloud apps for people to use and generate some revenue for your business, that may give you a little bit of heartburn. And another significant development from Google, maybe some people in the room have heard of something called Android. And what's really cool is you take Android and you smash that together with Google Maps, and suddenly you have turn-by-turn navigation on your phone, which I think is awesome. I don't have to print out maps to client sites or airports or anything anymore, but may be a little bit distressing if you're in the business of manufacturing one of these. And Wall Street tends to agree with that concept. Now, last point, last thing from Google. Oh yeah, so if you're in the business of personal navigation, that's not a very good thing to see happening. Last thing that may be a little bit less well known, and it was another one of these soft releases, is Google Earth Engine. And it's basically distributed raster analysis in the cloud. So this is the Amazon basin, and we're analyzing deforestation. And that's really great. I can actually attest to this fact because this is how I was trained in graduate school. It would take me weeks to classify the entire Amazon basin back in 1997, 98. On a really, really great top-of-the-line Unix machine at the time, and Google does it in seconds now. And so, if you're in the business of raster analysis, raise a glass, hop in the unemployment line, you've been disrupted too. So what? I'm a consultant, and what do I care? I don't do any of those things. I build custom software for people, and really the message here tonight is Google certainly has the potential to put a lot of companies in body bags and send them home, or at the very least, steal their lunch money in various ways. But Google is not evil. None of these things are done with malice aforethought. Really what's happening is Google has become the Walmart of the geospatial industry. And what I mean by that is they are big enough and have enough of a presence now that they can demand the best product at the best price. And if you can't give it to them, they will go somewhere else to get it. If they don't go somewhere else to get it, what's actually more likely to happen is they're going to put Bob and Larry on it for 5 days and develop it, which is what all those examples I just threw up there show. The other side effect of all this is that the expectations of our users in the geospatial industry have changed. Why is that? Well, I build a county website that serves 128 internal users. Big whoop. All those internal users, along with the billions and billions and billions of other people that are home at their kitchen table after dinner, are using Google and are used to that experience. And so what we need to go from is, this is by the way from Eric Burt just last week, is everyone else is seeing the typical Apple product and the typical Google product, and then they're popping over to a GIS application and using that typical product. So we need to do some rethinking about all of us, from city and county government to private consultants to businesses that produce a product, and think about what is our Google-ness. And the definition I've come up with for that word that I just made up just now is the products tend to be free or cheap. There tends to be zero dev cycle. Why is there zero dev cycle? Because Google doesn't schedule product launches. They just all of a sudden on a Tuesday morning roll this turd down the hallway and see if anyone is paying attention. And it popped out of nowhere, so it didn't take any time to develop, right? Boundless resources, because the entire southern half of Indiana is servers and a giant cooling room in Google, and it's easy to use. You know, the Google and Apple paradigm is you type words into a box and you get something back. It may be the wrong thing and you can type again, but it's very easy to use. And so what we're left with this evening, in the spirit of stimulating conversation for the geospatial industry, is a set of questions, and that is, are you all continually experimenting with the new thing? I would never suggest that you ship something based on bleeding edge technology, but if you're a .NET developer, do you have a Rails instance set up at your house for you to go home to at night and play with? Do you have side projects outside of work? You know, too often we get funneled into a 6 or 12-month project where, hey, I'm the data access guy for the next 180 days of my life. And we don't ever do anything else until the next project drops out of the magic pipe in the ceiling. Do you play well with Google or Google-esque technologies when it's appropriate for your solution? Are you using the lightweight APIs if you're an ESRI shop? Are you trying the new things that are coming out with open layers? Do you always pursue the simplest solution? This goes to performance and ease of use. Are we continuing to shove stuff into an application because we think it's interesting, or do we just give the users a box or a button? In the age of Google, is there a niche that you can explore or exploit that is relatively safe, and is it profitable and sustainable? You know, Google is not in the business of making maps. They're not in the business of classifying the Amazon for deforestation. They're not in the business of any of that. They just want to sell ads. And Geo helps them target those ads and sell them better. Can you find something there that is relatively isolated from the next grand thing that's going to drop out of the sky? Is your business or your office agile enough or nimble enough to adjust when Google comes knocking again? I have no idea what they're going to drop next, but it's going to be fun and I'm going to be interested in it. And do you have, in the meantime, do you have a mix in your business that provides stable work and the ability to provide innovative products that are compatible with swapping things out when the next technology does come along? Yeah, so that's about my time. The clock is flashing red and lightning's going to come out of Andy's laptop in a second. So just a few questions to think about, stimulate conversation. Google is definitely disruptive in our industry on pretty much a monthly basis. So please enjoy the free beer. Thanks CSRI for having us here. Enjoyed it.